Hey guys, welcome back. So what we're looking at today is lesson 4, half as much again. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So what we're looking at here is we want to complete the table to show the total distance walked in each case. So Jada's pet turtle walked 10 feet and then half that length again. So their initial distance was 10. Well, what's half of 10? That'd be 5. So 10 plus 5 is 15 for the total distance. Jada's baby brother walked 3 yards and then half that length again. Well, what's half of 3? 1.5. So 3 plus 1.5 is 4.5. Jada's hamster walked 4.5 kilometers and then half that length again. So what's half of 4.5? Well, half of 4.5 is 2.25. So if we add 4.5 and 2.25, we get 6.75. Jada's robot walked 1 mile and then half that length again. So half of 1 is 1/2. So it walked 1.5 miles. And E, a person walked X meters and then half that length again. Well, X plus 1/2 X, because that's how we'd represent that they went half that distance. We multiply it by 1/2 to find that. So for number 2, explain how you computed the total in each case. Well, what we did is we took half the initial distance and added it to the initial distance. All right. Number 3, 2 students each wrote an equation to represent the relationship between the initial distance walked X and the total distance walked Y. Mai wrote Y equals X plus 1/2 X. Kieran wrote Y equals 3/2 X. Do you agree with either of them? So what we should be thinking about here is it representing the situation? Now, we know it's representing the situation because that's exactly what we have, the X plus 1/2 X. That's exactly what we had for the last row of the table, X plus 1/2 X. But when we have two X values, can we combine them? Yeah, we can. So having just an X is the same thing as saying 1X, so having one of this and then half of the other X. So 1 plus 1/2 is what? Well, it's 1 and 1/2 X. Now, Kieran has his number as an improper fraction. So if we convert this mixed number to an improper fraction, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, so this would be 3/2 X, which means they are the exact same equation. So they are both correct. So the quotient of the total distance walked and the corresponding initial distance walked is constant. It's the 1.5. So they're both walking that 1.5 times the initial distance. So we can agree with both of them in this case. All right. More and less. Match each situation with a diagram. A diagram may not have a match. So if we look at this, Han ate X ounces of blueberries. Mai ate 1/3 less than that. So which one of these is representing that the X and then a third less? So if we look here, we've got 3 X's. We're missing that. The Y is more. Well, if Mai ate less, we don't want the Y value to be more. So we also can't use B. So D, well, X is split into 1, 2, 3 parts, so that's good. 3 to represent a whole. But Mai only has 1 little third of the X. But it says that she only ate 1/3 less, not that she only ate 1/3. So C is going to be the correct one. Han ate X ounces of blueberries, and Mai ate 1/3 less than that because it's subtracted that third from our X to our Y. So for number 2, or for B, Mai biked X miles, Han biked 2/3 more than that. So here, our second one, our y, is going to be bigger than our x. So we're going to look at the a and b. So here we've got 3. This looks like we're splitting it into fourths. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And there's a fourth more here than in this one. In B, we've got 1, 2, 3, and then we've got 2 more added on after that aren't being filled, but this one is. So if this represents a whole, here's 2 more added on, 2/3, so it's B. All right, and the last one, Han bought X pounds of apples. Mai bought 2/3 of that. So if she bought 2/3 of the amount, that means she bought less than him and a significant amount less. So it's going, or not a significant amount less, but it's going to actually be C again, because here it's representing she has 2/3 of the amount. So the interesting thing is, diagram C can be expressed 2 different ways. Mai having 8, 1/3 less than that, showing that it's dropped 1/3, or saying that she bought 2/3 of that, so showing it with both the subtraction and with the addition. All right, for number 2, we want to write, for each diagram, we want to write an equation that represents the relationship between x and y. So for diagram A, if we look at this, we've got this in thirds plus 1 more. So y equals 4/3 x. So y equals 4/3 x. So we're really looking at the factors for these. So factor is your key word for this lesson. All right, for B, that was this one here. So we've got the 3, but then there were 2 more added on. So 3/3, 4/3, 5/3. So y equals 5/3 x. Y equals 5/3 x. All right, for diagram C, which we use the most, this one is going to be y equals 2/3, because y is 2/3 of x. So y equals 2/3 x. And then last but not least, diagram D is going to be y equals what? What portion of x is it representing? Well, it's representing 1/3. So it's 1 out of the 3. So y equals 1/3 x. So for part 3, it wants us to write a story for one of the diagrams that doesn't have a match. I'll give you an example for each of those diagrams. You can come up with some for yourselves as well if you'd like. So we can say, Mai slept X hours. Han slept 1/3 more than that. So this would be diagram A, where we had that extra 1/3 added on, so our y equals 4/3 x. For diagram D, because that was the other one that we didn't have one for, we can say Han has x quarters, Mai has 1/3 of that. And this, like I said, was for diagram D. All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.